Well, good afternoon. This is Louis Diaz, one of the co-news directors here at KHTS, and I am sitting here with Cary Quashen, the CEO and founder of Action Drug Rehab. How are you doing today, Cary?
I'm all good, Louis. I'm glad to be here to get this important message out, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, thank you for taking time to come speak with us. So, over the last few years, especially with the pandemic, through the pandemic, whether you want to say it's coming to an end or not, there's been a lot of drug overdoses and a lot of drug overdose deaths. Why don't you tell me a little bit about why that is and what's heading this? Why is this becoming such a big problem?
Sure, Louis. Hey, you know what? Before the pandemic, let's go back. Before the pandemic, every time you would turn on the news, what did you see? You saw opiate deaths, opiate overdoses, and all of a sudden the pandemic came out, and it's like it was forgotten. The only thing that was talked about was the pandemic and coronavirus and all that. So everything else was forgotten. But what didn't stop people was the drug usage. So people that were drinking before the pandemic drank more during the pandemic. People that had anxiety got more anxiety during the pandemic. People who used drugs used more. It didn't just go away. For the last 10 years, and I'm talking 10 years, I've been screaming, we're in the midst, we're going to have an opiate epidemic, and it's going to kill more people than it did in the 70s, and I watched it come. I've been doing treatment now for 40 years, so I've watched this happen. Then the pandemic came in. At the same time that the pandemic came, we had remember we were watching all the big farms were getting sued, and we're just realizing that opiates were addictive, and oxy was addictive, and it was a whole big crazy thing. So what had happened is doctors realized, and so did the DEA, they realized that, hey, you know what, we are creating addiction. We're turning out people into addicts. So what did they do? They said, we can't write prescriptions like this anymore. Now, let's say 2 years ago. 2 years ago, you went to the doctor, you had a back pain. And what did they do? They gave you a prescription for maybe 90 Vicodin or 90 Oxy with 3 refills. Where was the dealers getting prescriptions? Where were they getting their drugs? They were sending people to doctors, to doctor shop. That went away. That stopped all in the same time, literally, that the pandemic, this all just kind of exploded on us. So now that means that you got all these people that are addicted to drugs or are using drugs, and the supply just got completely cut. It went away. They couldn't get them anymore. The DEA got involved, and there's another program that came in. It's called the CARES program. What that is, if you go to the doctor and you want a prescription for anything, the doctor types in your name into a national database right now, and every prescription you've gotten, period, comes out. So the doctor now can see, this guy's been to a doctor 2 weeks ago, he got 30 Vicodin, I'm not writing him any. So all that went away. So now where's the supply is more seriously, more than ever before. The demand, supply is gone. So where's people getting the pills? Now that's where fentanyl came into picture. And this is, to watch this happen from beginning to now is horrible, because all of a sudden there is no pills, so China got involved. China started importing fentanyl. The DEA got involved in that, and obviously it's a little harder to get now in the States, but it went right to Mexico, and the Mexican cartel are putting fentanyl right now, Louis, in everything.
So let's talk about fentanyl a little bit. What is fentanyl, and what was it created for, and why did it become so popular in the drug industry?
Gotcha. Fentanyl is one of the most dangerous drugs there are. It's 50 to 100 times stronger than heroin. 50 to 100 times stronger. So, and it's used now, it's a painkiller that is used for people that are literally dying. Serious surgeries and when you're in a hospital and you just, with scale from 1 to 10, they'll give you fentanyl or morphine. So Go ahead.
So I was just going to ask: is fentanyl stronger than morphine, or are they pretty comparable?
No. It's one of the strongest painkillers there is. Period. It's like I said, 50 to 100 times stronger than heroin itself, and morphine is close to that. Heroin.
Okay.
So it's a lot stronger than anything. But here's what happened. So the supply is gone. The demand is high. You know that you could buy. Check this out. You can go online and buy a pill presser for under $1,000.
Really?
That'll press any kind of pill to make it look like anything you want. So now you got to remember now there's no supply, but the demand is high. So people are now buying fentanyl. It's being shipped to Mexico. They're and in L.A. and California too, but it's going mostly to Mexico, and they're pill presses, and they're actually pressing everything right now with fentanyl. So all the Vicodin, here's what the scary thing is. Almost 100% of the drugs online today that you can buy on the street is copycat drugs. They're lookalike drugs. They're not real. They're fentanyl. Now, if you're going to bake, let's say, chocolate chip cookies, right? Mm-hmm. And you put too much chocolate chips in one batch of cookies, what happens? Everybody loves them. They're delicious.
Yeah.
But these are not chemists that are making these pills out there or cutting it with the heroin or whatever that they're doing. These are either dolphins or I don't even want to use the words, but they're making these pills and they're cutting drugs with it. What if they put too much fentanyl in a batch?
Yeah.
Everybody that uses that batch dies.
Now, you use the analogy of cookies. If you were to simply open up a cookie, cut it open, you can see like, wow, there's a lot of chocolate in there.
Exactly.
Is there a way that if someone were to get drugs, or if you were to come across drugs, if it's a loved one, a friend, or one of your children for having them, would there be a way to see by opening or destroying the pill to see actually how much fentanyl, if any, is in there, or is it
no?
No.
I mean, I'm listening to all these people, drug addicts that I'm working with, and at first they were saying they have a drop contest where if you drop them, if they crack, it's fentanyl. It's not real. That's not true anymore. They're making them. They're almost identical. You can't tell them apart. You can't tell them apart. And the scary thing is, it's in everything right now. It's not just in the pills. If you want to get black tar heroin or China white, most of the heroin today is mostly fentanyl. It's not even heroin.
And why is that?
Because it's cheaper and easier to get. And now almost 100% of the pills out there on the market are cut with fentanyl. They're not real. We're even finding it in crystal meth. Remember those two comedians that died? Overdose on cocaine?
Yeah.
Cocaine is an upper, right?
Mm-hmm.
They died from fentanyl overdose using cocaine. They're even putting it in. Why would you put fentanyl in an upper, in a speed?
So the drug users have to know this is happening. Is there any concern, like with them knowing that fentanyl is becoming bigger and bigger and more? It's a very powerful drug, and people are dropping like flies. Does that put any concern into these people?
Almost everybody that I work with right now are afraid every time they use that it's Russian roulette and they know they could die. Is it stopping them? No. Now, for the first couple of years with all this fentanyl stuff, everybody was worried about it. They were trying to buy the opiates. Now, I'm finding that most of the people that are out there using opiates are looking for fentanyl. That's what they're trying to buy now.
Because it's cheaper.
Because it's cheaper and it's stronger.
So that's fascinating. They know it's stronger. They know it's deadly. They know it's more deadly. They're scared. They're playing that. They know it's a form of Russian roulette. Exactly. But that's still not enough to stop them.
No, it's not enough to stop them because you got to remember, it's a thought. But when somebody's thinking, okay, this might be the hit that kills me, what's overpowering that thought is the thought of, I want to get high. I want that feeling.
And so are these people, are you seeing people using smaller doses, like, hey, let's take a pill, cut it into quarters and try a little bit? Are people trying to find ways to use it safely? Not that it's a good thing.
There is no safe way to do that, but the answer is yes. I know a 16-year-old kid. He bought one pill online, one pill on Snapchat. Took it home and took 1/2 of one pill that he thought was an oxycodone, and he died. Wow. 1/2 a pill. But the scary thing is, Louis, is I'm seeing that over and over and over again. We had a person in our drug rehab about 3 weeks ago we caught trying to have drugs brought in, and we threw him out. And he went to another rehab and died in their detox 3 days later because he got drugs smuggled in.
Wow.
And they know it's fentanyl. So it's a frightening thing. We got adolescents now that we're dealing with, and when they come in and we're drug testing them, we know the only thing they're using is marijuana.
Yeah.
But we're finding fentanyl in their drug tests. So they're even putting fentanyl on some of the THC out there right now. So it's one of those kind of things that I don't even know how to say this. It almost feels like you said earlier, a conspiracy that we're just trying to wipe out a nation, but that's obviously not true.
Yeah. For those of you just joining us, this is Louis Diaz, a co-news director here at KHTS Hometown Station. We're here live with Cary Quashen, the CEO and founder of Action Drug Rehab. And today we're discussing the uptick in fentanyl overdoses, which are becoming more popular due to these more common drugs being laced with fentanyl. So let's take me down the pathway here, Cary. When I was in high school, it just seemed like everyone was having a good time. Yeah, there were struggles with, you got a final tomorrow, or hey, we got to make sure our grades are good because we're starting to apply for colleges. In my group of friends, I really never had the temptation of drugs. Why are these younger children getting addicted to drugs? Is it because it's the cool thing to do to try smoking heroin or snorting a line of cocaine? What's the lead? Why are people getting on these drugs?
Well, first of all drug abuse starts innocently, as we know, and today, sadly, can end up tragically. But when we're young, we all have what I call contracts. You probably remember this. When I grow up, I want to be a. Remember those? What did you want to be when you were young?
I've always wanted to do something with the fire department.
Okay, well, you're a radio guy, right?
Yep.
and our contracts change, but we also have another set of contracts. Y'all remember these? When I grew up, I'll never use drugs. I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to smoke cigarettes because it causes cancer. Peer pressure today is different than it's ever been in history. And this is really a scary thought. What is the last thing you think a 16-year-old or a 15-year-old girl or boy does before they go to sleep? Last thing. They pick up their phone. Mm-hmm. They're on Snapchat or Instagram. They say good night to their friends in person, FaceTime.
Yeah.
They go to sleep. What is the first thing they do when they wake up in the morning before they even go to the bathroom? Pick up their phone and check their social media. So they go to sleep with their friends and they wake up with their friends. Correct?
Correct. Yep.
Then they walk out of the bedroom, get ready for school, say hi to mom and dad if they're home, and they go to school. So now they go to sleep with their friends and they wake up with their friends. Now they're in school with their friends 6 to 8 hours. Then they come home. If mom and dad are even still living together or not divorced, they're both usually at work, right? Yeah. So little Johnny comes home. He goes to sleep with his friends. Like, let's get this again. He wakes up with them, goes to school with them, comes home. No one's home. Who's waiting for him? His friends, either in person or in person on his social media. So now we spend all day with our friends. We go to sleep with them. We wake up with them. Mom and dad comes home, and here's how the conversation goes in most homes. How was your day, Johnny? It was good. You have any homework? No, I done it. School was okay. Are you hungry? I ate. And they go back in their room. Mm-hmm. What are they doing? They're back on social media. Yeah. So this is one of the most frightening things, and I watched this happen since social media came around. I mean, cell phones are great. We know that they do good, but they're also there's a dark side to it.
So how does that, though, lead to the drugs?
Pretty simple. So if little Johnny is going to sleep with his friends and waking up with them and going to school with them, mom comes home, dad comes home, the average parent spends between 2 and 10 minutes with their adolescent.
Wow.
A day. 2 to 10 minutes really speaking to their kid. So that means that our children today are connected to who? Their friends.
Phones and their friends.
Exactly. Not their parents like they used to be. So that means peer pressure today is more intense than it's ever been in history. Tell me one drug on the market today that these kids could use that's not physically and addictive physically and emotionally addictive. One drug.
Yeah.
You can't think of one.
No.
Every drug out there today is physically and emotionally addictive. People say, well, marijuana isn't. That's a bunch of crap. It certainly is. I'm dealing with adolescents and young adults that are coming into treatment right now addicted to THC. It's not the same THC that we used to get 30 years ago. It's different. I'm seeing people trying to get off of this high-grade THC that are going through panic attacks, anxiety attacks, headaches, all kinds of psychosis. So these drugs out there today, there's nothing good about them. I think some of the messages that we're doing wrong is we're saying, heroin kills, fentanyl kills. How about all drugs are bad? Because we all have those contracts. Remember I was talking about contracts?
Yeah.
What's the gateway drug? Anything.
Anything get you? Yeah.
It could be a beer. It used to be cigarettes. Now it could be a vape. I'm never going to smoke a cigarette because they cause cancer. I want to hang out with these guys, and they're all smoking, and it looks kind of cool, right?
Right.
And we take our first hit. We broke our first contract. How do we clean that up? It's only a cigarette. I'll never use pot.
So something.
And it goes on and on and on.
Yeah. So, for those of you just joining, this is Louis Diaz, co-news director here with Cary Quashen from Action Drug Rehab. Cary, a little while ago, you were telling us a story that a 16-year-old took half a pill and it killed her.
Him,
excuse me.
Yeah.
How many times is that happening? How many of these drug overdoses are from first-time uses, and how many?
Come on. I mean, that's like that. That's what turns my stomach. They're saying there's 110,000 people that lost their lives to an accidental overdose in the last year.
And so, is that the first time using drugs?
No. A lot of them, yes. But the scary part of them is, and you kind of led up to that, is a lot of these people, they're not drug addicted people. A lot of these are adolescents that are going online buying drugs that they think they're buying, like they think they're buying a Xanax, or they think they're buying a Percocet or an Oxy. But almost 100% of the drugs online today are not that. They're lookalike, and they're fentanyl. And you cannot, it's Russian roulette every time you take one of those pills, man.
Yeah.
The scariest part of this is, who do you think finds these kids and young adults and husbands and wives? Their parents, their families wake up in the morning, walk into the bedroom, and they find them dead.
And it probably varies from person to person, but how long after you take a lethal dose of something will it kill you? Is it a matter of minutes, hours?
It could be immediate or minutes. It could be, you don't have a lot of time right now. Another thing that's pretty frightening is almost everybody I know that's got somebody addicted to opiates in their house have also got Narcan now. Yeah. And you know what Narcan is, right? It's life-saving. It turns the overdose around. I know families that have 6- and 7-year-old brothers and sisters that are trained to use Narcan.
Really?
In case their older brother or sister, dies.
So there are people that are looking for help. So the people that are trying to get their life turned around, and they know they have an addiction to drugs that are potentially laced with a deadly substance called fentanyl, do you recommend that when they are using the narcotics that they're around people so that if something bad happens, they can call 911? Obviously, that's not ideal. You want them to get the help to get off the drug, but while they're weaning themselves or getting help, is that something you recommend?
Well, yeah. I never was much big on harm reduction, but these days I'm kind of going that direction anyways, because of, that you take that percentage of the people that are dying. A lot of those people have been trying to get off drugs. They've been sober for a while. They decide to use a little bit more, and their body can't handle what their mind wants. So, I suggest that there's people around. We're finding people that are feeling pretty brave because they have Narcan around. But if somebody takes a drug and there's no one around, Narcan's not going to save them.
Right.
If somebody takes a drug with a couple people in the same room and that batch is cut with Narcan, they're all going to die. Cut with fentanyl, they're all going to die because no one's going to be able to do anything about it. Fentanyl is also it's a very difficult drug, meaning if it's a heroin or a Vicodin or one of those opiate overdoses, a hit of Narcan might be able to save them. Sometimes it takes up to 4 to 6 of Narcan hits to save somebody on fentanyl. Because it's that much stronger.
Wow.
And there's no way to tell. I mean, I have in this bag, I got lookalike drugs. And
Yeah.
I could show you. I mean, this stuff looks so real that there's no way to tell.
Yeah. Well, let's do this. This is Louis Diaz with KHTS Radio. We're going to take a break here. On the other side of the break, we're going to talk with Cary about what parents can do to look for narcotics, different paraphernalia that is commonly used, and then we're also and he'll show you these
counterfeit pills
that he has that resemble what real pills can look like, and we'll also talk about the treatment Cary offers to the Santa Clarita Valley for people struggling with drug addiction.
Healthcare can be difficult if you're underinsured or have Medi-Cal. Samuel Dixon Family Health Center can help. Services are available on a sliding fee schedule. The mission of the Samuel Dixon Family Health Center is to give the Santa Clarita Valley access to affordable, quality primary care. There are 3 locations to serve you: Canyon Country, Newhall, and Valverde. Go to sdfhc.org for more information and to find the location most convenient for you.
Imagine stepping into a giant tent filled with hundreds of butterflies landing on a feeding stick that you're holding, or clanging the bell aboard a huge fire engine. It's all happening at the 11th annual KHTS Home and Garden Show. We're back at Central Park on Saturday and Sunday, April 30th and May 1st. Over 400 local vendors answering your home improvement questions, 100 crafters, a petting zoo, pony rides, and pig races, a dozen food trucks. Admission is free. Details at scvhomeshow.com.
This is Bradley from Santa Clarita Grocery, the all-volunteer grocery program serving children, families, and individuals experiencing food insecurities. Since January 2020, Santa Clarita Grocery has distributed 83 tons of fresh groceries to 4,465 families in the SCV. Santa Clarita Grocery is a drive-up, drive-through service with physical distancing in place to continue serving our community. If you are in need or looking for a charity to do the most good for our community, please consider partnering with us by donating to Santa Clarita Grocery, one of the most efficient charities in the Santa Clarita Valley. A full 99 cents out of every dollar goes directly back to the community. Santa Clarita Grocery operates on a 1% overhead and is sustained through private donations. Santa Clarita Grocery is at 21176 Center Point Parkway in the Oasis Furniture parking lot. Please visit our website, santaclaritagrocery.org, or our Facebook at Santa Clarita Grocery to make a difference in our awesome town community. 661-425-7575. Be our guest and experience the difference.
SCVI is a tuition-free TK through 12 charter school that gives your child boundless opportunities to think critically and imagine freely. We offer a customized learning program built around your child's unique interests and strengths, with the only International Baccalaureate program in all of Santa Clarita. Our approach keeps students and families in step no matter where your learning is taking place. Be empowered to make your mark on the world at SCVI. To take a tour or enroll now in our one-of-a-kind program, visit ileadsantaclarita.org. iLead Schools, free to think, inspired to lead.
I listen to it all day, every day.
Hometown, your hometown station.
Well, welcome back. This is Louis Diaz with Cary Quashen from Action Drug Rehab, and we're going to talk about some different things that parents and loved ones can use, some information here family and loved ones can use to help detect if someone's on narcotics or using narcotics. And for those of you watching on Facebook Live, Cary here has some
scary stuff.
Some scary stuff he's going to show you. And for those of you listening on the radio on 98.1 FM and AM 1220, if you're on Facebook, I'd encourage you to go onto our Facebook Live when you get home or whenever you get out of the car and take a look at this video. This will also be uploaded onto our YouTube and in a KHTS article that will be published in the next couple days. So, Cary, why don't you talk about what you got and what
Absolutely.
What these all do?
So this here, if for people who can see this, I got my gloves on because even I don't like touching it. But these are what you call Xanny bars. You cannot tell the difference. Look at them. They're identical. But the reality is this has nothing to do with Xanax. These are almost pure fentanyl. The person I got these from, actually, and this is crazy, man, overdosed twice in one day from this bottle. Wow. He overdosed once, had to go to the hospital, get Narcan, came back and did it again. And how he lived is a freaking miracle. This here, they look just like oxys, and they're not. In fact, these are pure fentanyl. The guy that was selling these things, his parents overheard something in the bedroom. They thought it was the dog vomiting. The mom decided to walk into the bedroom and found her son purple foaming from his mouth on the floor, couldn't breathe. Father comes running in the room, and here's a really frightening thing. So the father sees what's going on and says to himself, my God, my kid's overdosing. And he's got foam in his mouth. If I give him CPR, am I going to die too? And his father then had to make a decision that it was worth dying for, and gave his kid CPR until the ambulance got there. And fortunately, they had enough Narcan to bring this kid back, which has now got about 90 days clean and sober. He went through our program. So everything out there, this here is crystal meth. The person that was using this got hooked on fentanyl because all the crystal meth that he was buying was cut with fentanyl. And this person also went through an overdose and had to be Narcaned. Why would you put fentanyl in meth? But that's just where we're at today. And this is obviously just a little remnants. If families see this laying around, you could see the tin where they're lighting it up so they can smoke it. And then, of course, these are the prescription fentanyl. These are patches. If you have extreme pain, they'll put this on that. But we're actually finding people that are cooking this up, sucking on it, and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Man, yeah, and here, this is, as people could see, you got a spoon where they cook it and burn it. You got a hypodermic needle, syringe where they shoot it, and this was supposed to be black tar heroin. There might have been some heroin in here, but it was mostly fentanyl. Enough fentanyl in one hit to kill 4 men.
Wow.
So everything out there right now is bad, and I want parents especially to hear this. I want everyone to hear this. Whatever you buy online ain't real. It's fake. Whatever you buy online, you're playing Russian roulette with 2 bullets, not even 1.
Yeah.
And if you're an opioid addict and you think you're going to continue to do this, you're not going to survive another year or 2. It's going to take them all out.
So when you're addicted to a drug, if you're, for example, let's just say you were addicted to heroin and you were addicted to pure heroin, and you were to go to your dealer and buy new stuff, and it was laced with fentanyl, and you take it, and you're lucky enough to survive, is that fentanyl going to give you the satisfaction for the addiction of heroin, or are you still
on steroids?
Okay.
You got to remember that fentanyl is 50 to 100 times stronger than heroin. So it's 50 to 100 times stronger, which means it's going to what? Make you feel a whole lot better.
So just eliminate, even though it's a different drug, it's going to eliminate the craving for the drug you were expecting.
Correct. You're just going to get addicted to the fentanyl now, which is even a harder drug to kick.
Okay.
Withdrawals on this drug is insane. I mean, if you're an opioid addict and we want to bring you in, right? You're taking Vicodin or heroin. After 24 hours, we can give you Suboxone and help you kick so you won't feel these terrible withdrawals. If you're on fentanyl, 3 to 5 days. Wow. You got to wait 3 to 5 days really before the Suboxone will work. So
that's
you're
pure
gonna
torture.
Yeah, so it's pure torture. And if you want to know what it feels like to withdraw from this, think about the flu times about 100. Your skin hurts. Your hair hurts, your head hurts, your stomach hurts, you want to vomit, you have the runs, you feel nauseous, you feel like your bones are coming through your skin. I mean, I can go on for days. It's that bad. So the withdrawals from these drugs is insane, which is what stops so many people from getting sober. They're so afraid of the withdrawals. And if I get somebody, and we detox people all the time, but if we detox somebody physically from this, now we got to deal with the emotional addiction, which is even harder than the physical addiction because the cravings are so bad.
Yeah.
So you can't just treat the physical addiction when it comes to with substance abuse. You got to treat the physical addiction and you got to treat the psychological addiction.
That's wild. For those of you just joining, I'm Louis Diaz, the co-news director here with Cary Quashen. He's the CEO and founder of Action Drug Rehab, and we're talking about some very scary but true things that are happening, even here in Santa Clarita. Awesome town, right? So you mentioned a few things. You mentioned pills that seem real that aren't. You also mentioned it sounds like some items that could be found in a household.
Right.
In anyone's household that can be used as paraphernalia to use drugs. Mm-hmm. So, again, on average, right now, parent spends 2 to 10 minutes with their kids on a daily basis. And
isn't that freaking terrible?
That's scary. So within that 2 to 10 minute time period, if you're going to be with your kid, what should the conversations be for parents with their kids to make sure they're safe from drugs? And what should parents be doing? What should they be looking for in their room? Where should they be looking in their kids' cars or in their bedrooms? And what should they be looking for as indications of being someone on narcotics?
Well, first of all, lose the 2 to 10 minutes. You know, I was at a restaurant the other night and with my wife Jessica, and we're sitting there and we're looking at everybody, right? And almost everybody in the restaurant, guess what they're doing?
They're on their phone.
They're on their freaking phones. You got little Johnny texting his friends. You got mom checking her Facebook to see how many likes she's got. And dad is in some space zone. Even when we're together, we're not together. If you're going to sit down for dinner or hang out at your house, put your freaking phone down and be present. That's the best way to figure out what's going on with your child is be present in their life so you know what's going on. But if you have a gut feeling that something's wrong with your kid or your husband or your wife or your mom or your dad, go with your gut. Mm-hmm. Your gut's always going to be right. It's better safe than sorry, especially in today's terms. Know what's going on with them. Check their social media. You know, if you have a feeling that something's wrong, get involved. If you think you need to search their room, then search their room. You know, we're parents. We're not our kids' friends, and we need to make sure it's safe. If you have a loved one, a husband, a wife, a brother, a sister, a mother, or whatever it is, and you feel something's going on, deal with it. Don't sweep it under the rug. It's not like it used to be, guys. I mean, people are dying now. Yeah. Just to put it in a quick perspective, they're saying over 100,000 people died just from an accidental overdose. That's by accident. Add suicide to that because of alcohol or drugs, you could double or triple the number. How about domestic violence? How about child abuse, child molestation, car crashes? I can go on for days. You want to know what the real pandemic is? I bet you we can figure that out right now, can't we? This is it.
Yeah.
And there is never going to be a vaccine that'll take this away. Sorry, there won't be.
Ah.
There'll be vaccines that'll help with cravings and that kind of stuff, but no vaccine that makes this go away. The only way we're going to get rid of this is by getting involved and getting educated. That's it. That's all.
So explain to parents of what they can look for, because every once in a while, let's face it, it's 10 o'clock at night, you go downstairs, you bring up a bowl of cereal to your room, you might bring the bowl down, but the spoon gets left behind. I don't want parents to freak out because they may find one spoon in their kid's room because they ate a bowl of ice cream and forgot it. So
if the spoon's not burned, you don't have to worry about it. Okay. You'll see the burn mark.
So a spoon's always going to have a burn mark. Obviously, other things to look for, then I'm assuming would be foil's another one, right?
Foil's another one. Stuff that are coming from Amazon that are in strange boxes that you never seen before because sometimes they're ordering stuff. Mm-hmm. And by the way, on Snapchat, you can get on Snapchat and buy pills and drugs and have them delivered to your house. That's how easy it is today. Look for change in friends. Looking for change in personalities, some kind of depression, isolation, drop in grades, mood swings, that kinds of stuff.
So we talked about drugs. We talked about the side effects. We mentioned that you're from Action Rehab, but we haven't really talked about too much about that. So let's switch gears a little bit. Talk about what you guys do, where you're located, and what your guys' goal is at Action Rehab.
Our goal is to put me out of business. I don't want any more drug abuse. I don't want to deal with any more overdoses. I don't want to see any more families destroyed because of this pandemic. I don't want to see it. But we do everything. We do detoxification for drugs and alcohol. We have residential treatment centers, which are short-term 30-day stays. We have partial programs, which means you come in at 9 in the morning and leave around 3. So you're with us most of the day, and it's intense counseling and therapy and drug testing and interventions and that kind of stuff. We do intensive outpatients that meet 3 times a week in the evenings for people that work. They're 3-hour groups, and it deals with alcohol and drugs and relapse prevention and impulse control and anger management, and family therapy and counseling is all part of that for adults and adolescents. Of course, separate nights and separate groups. We're involved in a lot of the schools up here when it comes to interventions. We will do drug testing for any parent that wants to bring a child in anytime, and we'll do that free. I want to make sure that kids are tested, and if there's something going on, we'll help figure out what's going on. We are contracted with every insurance company and now Medi-Cal. So we can even treat people for Medi-Cal in our outpatient services.
That's awesome. Where are you located, and how can people get a hold of you or find you?
1-800-367-8336, or you can call me directly anytime, day or night, and that's 661-713-3006. We have a residential treatment center in Piru. We have one opening up in Santa Clarita. We have intensive outpatients and partials on Soledad Canyon, and we also have a residential intensive outpatient partial in Bakersfield.
That's great. Do you have a website people can go to?
We do, actionfamily.org or actiondrugrehabs.org.
Great. Again, say that one more time, actionfamily.org.
Or actionfamilycounseling.org and actiondrugrehabs.org.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you, Cary, for coming in. There's a lot of work to be done out there. I know there's a lot of heroes that we talk about on a daily basis when it comes to the pandemic, whether it's nurses and doctors and other heroes when it comes to fire and crime, the law enforcement, fire department. But you guys also play a huge role in keeping kids and families safe and preventing people from losing loved ones. It's never fun. It stinks seeing these people go down the road that they do on drugs. So appreciate you coming in here and talking about all the drugs and the things that are going on right now, and hopefully like you said, hopefully one day you'll put yourself out of business.
Wouldn't that be nice?
That would be great. Everyone, this is Louis Diaz with KHTS. You can find this interview uploaded to our YouTube account in a little while at KHTS Radio. Follow us on our social media at KHTS Radio for all Santa Clarita news, and keep it tuned in to 98.1 FM and AM 1220. Again, this is Louis Diaz with the KHTS Newsroom.